This is Will Faerber from Art to Ride, and today we're looking at a video submission that's been sent in by Lauren G. from Scottsdale, Arizona, of her 11-year-old off-the-track thoroughbred. She said she'd been having great luck getting the horse to begin to develop over its back using this method, but then tried another method and found that he was not doing so well. So she's returned to this, and I'm happy to see her do that. So thank you very much, and she's got him going quite nicely. I love to see her stretching the horse with no side reins even. That's actually wonderful. He's going quite nicely, and for the type of horse that he is, moving quite well and stretching into the contact. He could be moving a little more fluently, and he could be stretching down more, but the right stuff is beginning to happen, and she's certainly in the right direction. You know, the first thing to realize is just to let go of these poor horses' mouths and let them begin to develop some balance. And almost all horses, even when we start youngsters that people haven't made a mess out of, they usually will come right around to stretching with no problem at all as soon as they begin to tire a little bit, because that's the natural thing for them to do to relieve the pressure over their backs. So this horse has really started out very well. I love how she's working this horse. I'd like to see her send him on just a little bit more and see if she can't get a bigger trot out of him. And now we see him cantering. His cantering is not too bad. Not perfect over the back, but certainly not bad. Good enough that you can canter the horse to, with some good effect. If the horse can't get over its back at all and is very hollow with its head straight up in the air, the cantering will not do anything for them at all. In fact, we need to do more work in the trot to get him to stretch. Now, I know we haven't seen the whole workout here as she's edited this to some degree, but this is really good what I'm seeing here. I would like to see, as I said, a little more swing in the trots, just work to get a little bigger trot and a little longer stretch that is lower to the ground. That walk is not bad. He could still, once again, everything could be just a little more swinging than it is, but this is really a good start and in the right direction. So congratulations there. He looks quite calm and like a very nice boy to work with. I think her background has been mostly hunter jumper, which the biggest thing for hunter jumper riders is just begin to stretch up, that they tend to ride too much forward over the neck of the horse. So the main thing that I would say to people coming from, especially show ring hunter type style, where you're really in that exaggerated neck position, as you really need to get your shoulders up and back and get yourself balanced over your legs so the horse can be balanced underneath you. If we're leaning forward, it's always going to displace the horse's weight towards the front, and the horse is going to be a bit imbalanced. Now, we can see this horse still has a little bit of a dip behind the saddle there, but she says he's been developing beautifully, and I don't doubt that, as I love everything I'm seeing her doing here so far. She's got a nice contact there. She's trying to get him to stretch in. I think she's going to do some leg yields for us here now. Nope, she's going to trot. Now we see trotting off immediately. He's a little bit hollow there, but not too bad. We need to get him stretching more into the contact. There he comes, much better there. But she still needs to just send him on a little bit more. And as I said, if she would stretch up her upper body and just bring her shoulders back and lift her chest a little bit so she's a little more over her leg, that will help her to get the horse to swing through with the body. As I said, when we're leaning forward, as you can see, she kind of clearly does here a little bit. That's typical sort of hunt seat, just to come a little bit straighter over her leg so that her back can help her send the horse through a little bit more and that we're not displacing the weight to the front. But I like how she took her time in that. Now she's doing some leg yield. Very nice there. That's not bad at all. But remember, as he leg yields, keep trying to get the neck longer and use that to help you to get him to stretch out there, which he seems to have done there. He's getting better all the time, this horse. And I have watched this all the way through once, so I know that he really gets quite nice at the very end of it. He really starts to swing over his back much better for her. So she sends him on here, and I like the fact that she's just not conflicting the aids, but she could still loosen her hand there a little bit. I would like to see her get the horse swinging a little more actively forward before taking any contact, and you might find that he'll come more easily into the bridle for you if you do that. Once again, canter here in the half seat is really quite nice. It's good enough that you can canter him to some effect. Some horses, if they are just so hollow in their back that they can't do anything but run around with their heads up, you really just have to do more trot work. But this canter will have a good effect on the horse, helping him loosen up over his back. Right there is quite nice. He's really starting to swing pretty nicely. Some thoroughbreds have better canters, actually, since that's what they were bred for, than they do trot. And if you have a horse like that can canter over its back better than it trots over its back, those horses you can, to advantage, do more canter work with. But most horses are not that way, especially the heavier warm bloods. They tend to really fall apart in the canter if their trot work is not good. So if the horse can't get round over his back in the canter, there's no point in really doing it. So you need to do much more trot work to strengthen. But what this girl is doing is really quite good, and I commend it. Same thing here again. I just like to see her get her shoulders up and back a little bit and just even release him a little more when she's riding and just get him swinging a little more over his back and a little more active before she takes contact so that she can get him to stretch further and he'll swing deeper under the body with his hind legs. So a little more active would be good there. Same thing here, but he's using it. There you go. Now he starts to loosen up a little better for her there. She brings him down. But I do like the way she did a nice transition back to the walk. She didn't just drop her weight on the horse. His hind legs kept stepping. Too often people in dressage think they want to slam on the brakes all the time, and that's never what we want to do. We want the horse we must stretch up in the saddle in a downwards transition and lighten our seat to let the hindquarters continue so that they can stop under the body instead of being jammed out behind the body, as we often see. So she's come back to the walk here once again. I'd like to see the walk more swinging, but she's starting to get it. I can tell she's working towards that. Same thing here. If she would just lift up and bring her shoulders back a little more and couple that with the use of the leg, I think she would find it easier to get him out in front of her leg. And now we're going back to more of this half-seated canter, which once again for this horse is not a bad idea. Though I would like to see her do a little more lateral work in the warm-up just to get him stretching and get the horse lower and even swinging a little more in the walk before you go on to the gates of the trot with the canter, either one. But what she's doing here is not bad. It's really quite nice, and at least she's staying off of his mouth and off of his back, and she's letting him just get swinging over his back. And once again, his canter is good enough to be able to canter with some good effect. You can see he's still a little unbalanced there as he makes those transitions. But not terrible. There he goes. Now he starts to stretch a little more for her. There we go. Now that trot's looking better and more swinging. So keep opening up. Once again, because you're leaning kind of forward, you need to get yourself up and back, and that will help you get him through. I love how he's coming here. There. Now he started. Look how the hocks are getting a little rounder in the movement. He's beginning to lower. This is really good. I like it once again how she made a nice soft transition back. None of her circles have been too small. So the only thing I can really see here is I'd really like her to just stretch up a little bit so she can get over her leg, try to open up this walk and get it a little more swinging, get the head and neck to lower, keep lowering down till he gets lower and finds that place where he can really swing through his back a little more. But the walk is improving all the time, and I'm sure if she's kept on this schedule, she's even improved it more than this. I'd love to see another tape of this horse with her just getting up. Now, she's sitting up a little straighter here, actually, interestingly enough, as we come here, and he's starting to move a little better through behind, so that's a good thing. So he slowed down there as he came to that corner a little bit, but this is not bad at all. Once again, I'd like to see him practice these transitions a little deeper. That is to start a little deeper, that he's longer and lower before she starts the transition. Once again, here the hind legs aren't really moving enough. If she would just add leg and get him swinging a little bigger. Might be maybe even a little bigger than she's comfortable with right off the bat until she can get her shoulders up and over her leg a little more. But this is coming, once again, this is very nice. She's not conflicting the age. She's not fighting with the horse's mouth. He looks quite happy in the work, and I'm sure if she continues this, he will just continue to improve. Now we can see the trot is getting better here, starting to swing. There, as just before that canter, he started to have a little more flexion in his hocks. Very good. I mean, basically, I would say I'm not sure, because she's edited this, exactly, the sequence that we're seeing here. I would like to just see the trot get moving and a little more active, maybe not quite so much canter. Though, once again, the way you're going about it is not bad. You're not conflicting the aids, and he is working over his back enough that it's not a terrible thing for him to do that much canter. Though I'd like to still just get him a little bit longer and lower. But each time he comes back, he's looking better. Once again, another pretty good transition back to the walk. Wasn't just a slam, he stumbled there a little bit. That's just the ring, I'm sure. Now his walk is starting to stretch out, and this is looking much better. Yes, the step is starting to become more active and swinging. So the goal of the ride has been achieved, and that she has improved him as she's gone along here. Every step has looked better. He's starting to get longer and more swinging throughout. I love how she hasn't made any turns that are too small. Very often I see people, they're usually asking the horse often for very small circles and things that are just too difficult for the horse. Remember, it takes a long time. A horse at this level really shouldn't be going on any circles, smaller than 10 or 15 meters. It takes quite a balanced and developed horse to do 8-meter circles and 10-meter circles. That downward transition was a little rough because you see he just didn't have his head and neck out, so it kind of jolted there for a minute as he made the downward transition. Once again, he just needs to continue on the path that he's on, getting him longer and lower. Kind of propped a little bit forward there, the rider did, that is. I still like to see her just get her shoulders up and back there. Now that's starting to look much better into that. Now his neck is getting longer. Notice how the front and back end is starting to swing together. Much better. And I really like that downward transition there. Now that was really quite improved. I look forward to seeing more from this rider.